Stop hoping that your body will just take care of itself, because there is a silent biological clock that strikes midnight the moment you turn 70. You are likely making a massive mistake right now by assuming your health today guarantees your mobility tomorrow. It does not. There are 7 invisible changes happening inside your nerves, your bones, and your brain at this very second. Most people ignore them until they are lying in a hospital bed wondering what went wrong. I am going to show you exactly what is failing inside of you, and I will give you the specific tools to fix it before it is too late. My name is Dr. Ogino Ginkgo. I have treated over 9,000 seniors in my career as a geriatric specialist. 3 months ago, a man named Arthur walked into my clinic. He looked at his hands and said something that stays with me. "Doctor, I feel like a prisoner in my own house." Arthur was 74. He used to be a master carpenter. He built his own deck. He framed his own roof. But on the day he came to see me, he couldn't even hold a coffee cup steady. He didn't have a disease. He didn't have a stroke. He simply let the 7 silent changes take over his body until he lost his freedom. Arthur ignored the warning signs. You are probably ignoring them too. You might eat salads. You might go for walks. You might think you are safe. But the biology of aging does not care about your salads. It happens to everyone. The only choice you have is whether you fight back or let it happen. Change number 1 is the failure of your internal GPS. This is not about your eyes. This is about a tiny system deep inside your ear that keeps you upright. Let me explain how this works in simple terms. Imagine a carpenter's level. You know, the tool with the yellow tube and the little air bubble inside. When the bubble is in the middle, the shelf is straight. Your head has the same thing. Inside your inner ear, there are 3 small loops filled with fluid. When you move your head, the fluid swishes around. Tiny hairs sense this fluid and tell your brain, hey, we are leaning left or we are falling forward. But after age 70, this fluid gets thick. It becomes like sludge. The tiny hairs that sense the motion start to die off. The result? Your brain gets bad information. Eleanor was a patient of mine who loved her garden. She was 72. One sunny afternoon, she stood up from pulling weeds and the whole world spun sideways. She grabbed the fence to stop from falling. She told me later, "Doctor, I thought I was having a heart attack." She wasn't. Her inner ear just couldn't keep up with how fast she stood up. The bubble in her level was stuck. We tested Eleanor. I asked her to stand with one foot in front of the other, like she was on a tightrope, and close her eyes. She couldn't do it. She fell into my arms in less than 3 seconds. Because her eyes were closed, her brain had to rely on that thick fluid in her ears, and it failed. If you can't balance with your eyes closed, you are in danger. A major study tracked seniors for 5 years. They found that people with poor inner ear function were 12 times more likely to have a serious fall. 12 times. That is a terrifying number. But you can fix this. You don't need pills. You need to retrain the system. I gave Eleanor a simple job. Every time she waited for her coffee to brew in the morning, she had to stand on one leg. Just for 10 seconds, then switch legs. At first, she had to hold the counter. That is okay. This exercise forces your brain to work harder to find the center. It thins out that fluid. It wakes up those sensors. After 2 months, Eleanor could stand on one leg for 30 seconds without holding anything. She went back to her garden. She got her life back. Change number 2 is the slowing of your electrical wires. This is about reaction time. When you are 20 years old, if a glass slips from your hand, you catch it before you even think about it. Your brain sends a lightning-fast signal to your hand. But when you turn 70, that lightning turns into a slow drizzle. The insulation around your nerves wears down. It is like an old charging cable for your phone that is starting to fray. The power doesn't get through as fast. Let me tell you about Bill. Bill was a proud driver. He was 75 and had never been in an accident. He was driving on the highway when the car in front of him slammed on the brakes. Bill saw the red lights. His brain screamed, "Stop!" But his foot didn't move fast enough. He rear-ended the car at 40 miles per hour. He wasn't distracted. He wasn't on his phone. He physically could not move his leg fast enough. We measured Bill's reaction speed. It took his brain 1.5 seconds to tell his foot to hit the pedal. That sounds fast, but at highway speeds, a car travels over 100 feet in that time. That 100 feet was the difference between a safe stop and a crash. Research from the University of California shows that for every decade after 50, your nerve transmission speed drops by nearly 15%. By 70, you are operating on a delay. You are living in the past, literally half a second behind the rest of the world. But here is the secret. You can speed up those wires. You have to force your brain to make quick decisions. I told Bill to get a chaotic bouncing ball. It's a rubber ball with bumps on it. When you throw it at a wall, you don't know where it will bounce back. You have to react instantly to catch it. Bill did this for 5 minutes a day. It was frustrating at first. He dropped it constantly, but his brain started to repair those connections. It built new pathways. 3 months later, his reaction time was down to 0.9 seconds. He saved his license. He saved his independence. Now this next change is the one that puts most people in a nursing home. The first 2 changes make you clumsy, but this third change makes you weak. Change number 3 is the silent melting of your muscles. Doctors call this sarcopenia. It sounds scary, and it is. Your body is constantly deciding what to keep and what to throw away. After 70, if you are not using a muscle aggressively, your body eats it for energy. It assumes you don't need it anymore. Sarah was a grandmother who lived for her grandkids. She was 71. One day her 3-year-old grandson ran to her, shouting, "Up, Grandma, up!" Sarah bent down to lift him. He weighed maybe 30 pounds. She couldn't do it. Her arms shook. Her back strained. She had to tell him, "No, honey, Grandma can't." She cried in my office telling me this story. "I'm not sick," she said. "Why am I so weak?" I explained to Sarah that she had lost 40% of her muscle fibers since her 50s. Fast twitch fibers go first. These are the strength fibers. You keep the slow ones for walking, so you think you are fine. But the power needed to lift a child, or a suitcase, or a bag of dog food, that disappears. The data on this is shocking. After age 75, the rate of muscle loss doubles. It falls off a cliff. If you do nothing, you will lose the ability to get off the toilet by yourself. That is the harsh reality. But muscles are amazing. They want to grow. They just need a reason. Sarah started a very simple routine. She didn't go to a gym. She bought a gallon of water. It weighs about 8 pounds. She practiced lifting it from the floor to the counter 10 times a day. Then she did chair explosions. She sat in a chair and stood up as fast as she could, then sat down slowly. This tells the body, "Hey, I need these fast muscles. Don't eat them." 4 months later, Sarah picked up her grandson. She held him for 5 minutes. She told me it was the best hug of her life. You have to give your body a demand, or it will give you a decline. Change number 4 is the hollowing of your bones. This is the silent killer. You cannot feel your bones getting weaker. There are no nerve endings inside the bone to warn you. Imagine a house where termites are eating the wood inside the walls. The paint looks perfect, the house looks strong, but if you lean on the wall, you go right through it. That is osteoporosis. Walter was a big guy, 73 years old. He stepped off a curb wrong, just a small stumble. He felt a snap and then he hit the ground. Everyone thought he fell and broke his hip, but the x-rays showed the truth. His hip broke first. The bone was so weak that the force of stepping down snapped the top of his leg bone. The break caused the fall. Walter spent 3 weeks in the hospital. He got pneumonia from laying in bed. He almost died. Statistics show that 25% of men who break a hip after 70 die within a year. It is not the bone that kills them. It is the loss of movement. The body shuts down. But you can make your bones harder. Calcium pills are not enough. Your bones need impact. They need to feel a shock. Think of bone like a sponge that hardens when you squeeze it. If you walk softly, nothing happens. You need to stomp. I told Walter's wife to get him walking, but not just gentle walking. I told him to march. Stomp his feet on the pavement. I told him to carry a heavy backpack while he walked. This pressure signals the bone cells to build more walls. It fills in the holes. A year later, Walter's bone density scan showed his decline had stopped. He was actually building new bone at 74. It is never too late to reinforce the walls of your house. Change number 5 is the loss of your body map. This is called proprioception. Right now, close your eyes and touch your nose. You can do it because your brain has a 3D map of exactly where your hand is. It uses sensors in your joints to track your position, but after 70, the map gets blurry. The GPS signal fades. Linda kept bumping into door frames. She was 76. She had bruises on her shoulders. She told her daughter, "I'm just getting clumsy." She wasn't clumsy. Her brain thought she was 3 inches to the left of where she actually was. She would try to step over a rug, but her brain would tell her foot it was high enough when it wasn't. She would trip. These trips are deadly. We did a test with Linda. I asked her to close her eyes and hold her hands out to the side, then bring her index fingers together to touch. She missed by 4 inches. Her map was broken. She didn't know where her own hands were. To fix this, you have to recalibrate the map. You have to update the software. I taught Linda the clock reach. You stand on one leg. Imagine you are in the middle of a giant clock. With your other foot, reach out to touch 12 o'clock. Then reach to 3 o'clock. Then 6 o'clock. Keep your weight on the standing leg. Do this without looking at your feet. This forces your brain to feel the position instead of seeing it. It creates new connections in the joint sensors. Linda did this every morning while watching the news. The bumping into walls stopped. She stopped tripping over the rug. Her brain knew exactly where her feet were again. Change number 6 is the stiffening of your rib cage. This is one nobody talks about. As you age, the cartilage between your ribs turns to bone. It gets hard. Your chest can't expand as much. This means you take shallow breaths. You get less oxygen. Less oxygen means less energy for your brain and muscles. It creates a cycle of fatigue. You feel tired, so you sit. You sit, so you get weaker. Patrick was 78. He would get winded just walking to the mailbox. He thought it was his heart. His heart was fine. His rib cage was just a tight cage. He was only using the top part of his lungs. I taught Patrick box breathing with a stretch. I had him sit in a chair, clasp his hands behind his head, and pull his elbows back. This opens the ribs. Then breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds. He had to focus on pushing his belly out, not lifting his shoulders. This forces the diaphragm to work. It forces the ribs to crack open just a tiny bit, keeping them flexible. After 6 weeks, Patrick walked to the mailbox and didn't even pant. He had more energy because he was finally feeding his body the oxygen it needed. His brain fog cleared up. Do not let your chest become a cage. Change number 7 is the most dangerous of all because it is psychological. It is the fear loop. When you are afraid of falling, you change how you walk. You stiffen up. You look at your feet. You take tiny shuffling steps. Ironically, this rigid walking style makes you far more likely to fall. It is like walking on ice. If you are loose and relaxed, you can correct a slip. If you are stiff and terrified, you go down like a tree. Patricia fell once in the supermarket. She wasn't hurt, but she was embarrassed. That embarrassment turned into terror. She stopped going to the store. She stopped going to church. She sat in her chair where it was safe. Her muscles rotted away because she stopped moving. Her fear was crippling her. I had to tell Patricia the hard truth. Your fear is doing more damage than the fall did. We had to break the loop. We started with surface training. I had her walk on the sidewalk, then step onto the grass, then back to the sidewalk. Grass is uneven. It feels scary, but mastering that uneven ground gave her confidence. We practiced falling safely on a soft mat. Knowing she could survive a fall made her less afraid of it. When the fear left, her natural walking rhythm returned. She stopped shuffling. She started striding. She went back to church 3 months later, walking tall. So, look at the list. We have the inner ear failing, the nerve speed slowing, the muscles melting, the bones hollowing, the map fading, the ribs stiffening, and the fear paralyzing you. This sounds like a lot. It sounds overwhelming. But here is the good news. You don't need 7 different solutions. You can combine them. Imagine a morning routine that takes 10 minutes. You brush your teeth while standing on one leg, balance and inner ear. You do 10 rapid squats holding a heavy book, muscle and bone. You throw a tennis ball against the wall, reaction time and vision. You take 10 deep belly breaths, rib cage. You do this, and you are not just exercising. You are sending a loud signal to your biology. You are telling your body, we are not done yet. Arthur, the carpenter I told you about, he started this exact routine. It was hard. He was sore. He wanted to quit. But he kept thinking about being a prisoner in his house. 6 months later, Arthur invited me to his home. He didn't just pour me a coffee. He showed me the new birdhouse he had built in his shop. His hands were steady. His walk was strong. He looked at me and said, "Doctor, I feel like I bought myself another 20 years. That is the prize. We are not trying to be 20 years old again. We are trying to be independent. We want to be able to carry our own groceries, climb our own stairs, and live on our own terms. The clock is ticking, but you have the power to rewind it. Do not wait for the fall. Do not wait for the fracture. Start moving today. Your body is the only house you have to live in. Build it strong."